What a great little car. Oh my gosh. I've got to get me one of these. Oh, this car is hilarious. I spoke to a couple of friends of mine who both have hot hatches, and they both have excellent little hot hatches. One of them has an i30N Performance, and he has said I can take it out and do a little film with it. So we've come out to the Cotswolds and we're doing a little versus film against a car that I've already done a video on. I've done a video on the estate, which is the Golf R estate. This time we thought we'd do the hatchback just to see if there's any differences dynamically, and I'm pretty certain there won't be. If you want to go and watch that film, go over to the YouTube channel, and whilst you're there, subscribe and ring the little bell. It helps us out massively. Now, predominantly, we're doing the film on this little i30N Performance. Now, these things are hilarious. Honestly, it's brilliant fun. The materials in here, the touch points of the car, no, they're not as good as the Golf, but this is a cheaper car. This is a £25,000 car as opposed to a £32,000, £34,000 car. So you're looking at something that is, obviously going to have cheaper materials because they've got to scrimp somewhere. The steering wheel, wicked. It's really nice. It looks really cool. I love the mode buttons and the flag on here. It's proper childish stuff, but it looks wicked. All the door cards, they're a little bit cheap. The door pulls, a bit cheap. They had to scrimp somewhere. I totally understand that. It's not a VW product, which is obviously far superior materials, but, to drive, this car is hilarious. The noise it makes is bloody brilliant. Honestly, the pops and bangs, the way it pulls, it's got 275 PS, 271 horsepower, and it's got 350 odd Newton meters of torque. So it's plenty quick enough on UK roads. I mean, it really, really gets a wriggle on. It's super fun, but it also feels really playful. It feels like you can get all the weight over the nose going into a corner. It's got really, really direct steering. And yeah, we've got ESC in sport. We're in custom mode at the moment, so you get all that pops and bangs from on the overrun, and you get pops and bangs changing up, changing down. It basically sounds like a little rally car. It's super, super fun. The brakes are nice and firm, and they have good feel at the top of the pedal, and they feel quite progressive actually. I quite like those. What a fun little machine, I tell you. Bloody hell. It's properly quick. And in actual fact, I think it's probably more enjoyable to drive than the Golf. Don't tell anyone I said that, but it is genuinely as enjoyable to drive as the Golf. And it's not as quick. It definitely is not as fast. There is, the Golf gaps it coming out of corners. The four-wheel drive system in the Golf means that you've got just a little bit more traction exiting corners, and you can sort of come into corners a little bit quicker, and it feels like you're not going to unstick it. Whereas this, you can really move the back end around and really, really enjoy it. It's a lovely little 4-cylinder engine, and I love the fact that they've managed to make it sound so good. It just sounds great. It sounds yobbish, but you can turn that off, which is also brilliant. It's a 1,500 kilo hot hatchback that's got 275 horsepower. What's not to love? I mean, it's lacking a little bit on the Golf R for out and out pace. It's not about top speed with these, it's about the sensation of the way it makes you feel on the way to it. And this makes you feel like a child, and it's brilliant. Honestly, I'm so impressed with it. The seats are really comfortable. I'd like them to be a little bit lower in the car. The steering wheel comes nicely towards you, which is great, and I feel like I'm in a proper little sports car, but I would like the seats to be a little bit lower so that you can really feel a bit more what's going on underneath you. That's just personal preference. I'm sure some people wouldn't care about that. This, obviously, compared to the Golf R, is lacking on power. The Golf R is at 296, this is at 275, and obviously with the four-wheel drive system, the Golf gets to 60 at 4.8 seconds. This does 0 to 60 in 6.1. But it's more involving. I genuinely think it's more involving. Just because you've obviously are stirring this lovely little manual gearbox, which is quite notchy and it's quite light, but it's really enjoyable to use. and you don't sort of catch it out ever. Clutch is lovely and light. It's just good fun to be back in a car with 3 pedals, if I'm totally honest with you. Yeah, I love my Golf R estate, and I wish they did them in manual, because I'd have had a manual, but... You hear that? Go on, girl. It's got the lovely little lights that dance up on the dashboard. And it bangs and pops when you change gear. God, it's fun. Oh, I could get in a lot of trouble in one of these. Let's change the modes. Let's have a little look what we got here. We got N Custom. What the hell does that mean? Oh, it's got rev matching, which I really don't like rev matching because I can do it myself. Right, let's go back the other way, shall we? Woohoo! You little beauty. This is so much fun. Honestly, go and try one. Brilliant, brilliant thing. I think individual modes where it's at, if I'm honest, which is custom. So in this one, it's called custom. I think that's where it's at. I think you dial everything up to, you know, its maximum, and then you soften off the suspension. That's definitely where it's at. I don't think it's not for, no, the N performance mode or whatever they call it is a bit too racy for the UK roads, especially around here. It's too bumpy. Then over the other side, you've got drive mode, which then you press that, you press it into normal, and bang it into 6th, and it's a lovely car to live with on a daily basis, I think. But there is quite a lot of tyre noise. But there's Pirelli P0s on this car as well, so there's a shed load of grip as well, which is why the front end feels so good. It does feel slightly more laboured in normal mode, which, you know, for everyday using is probably better. Slightly more laboured. It's still very, very quick and doesn't make quite as much noise. Sod this. Put it in custom mode again. Get all that induction noise, that lovely noise. And you get the bangs and the pops. Wow. I can heel and toe. I don't need it to do it for me. Yeah, buddy. The diff in the front's working beautifully. You can feel it. It wants to give a little bit of torque steer, but not an enormous amount. Feels like it really drags you into the corners when you've got power on coming round the corner. Yeah, it's really good fun, this. It feels light and nimble on its feet. Feels like a training shoe. It's great. Yeah, really, really like this little car. I think bang for your buck. I think this is everyone. They've got this really right. I mean, I'm really impressed. I mean, I know that they bought over the M Performance boys that were at BMW M division, and they bought them over to the N division of Hyundai. So they were always going to be producing a good car, you know. And this is a good car, a really good car. All the satellite navigation and everything, I'm not really sure about that. I haven't had the car for long enough. I've only had it for the day, so I don't know really how good that is. But it all looks very smart on the dashboard, and they've designed it really nicely. Yeah, it's, you know, I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. The plastics in here are, you know, pretty cheap, but they're, you know, it makes up for it massively with the fact that it's so good fun to drive. Yeah, really impressed. Right, let's go and try the Golf R Hatchback. Straight away, back to back, straight out of this, which I've absolutely loved driving. It is a hoot. And I honestly, yeah, this is brilliant. I really, really like this car. It just feels great. So we're straight into the Golf, and immediately it just feels more expensive in basically every single way. Every material in here is more expensive. It feels plusher. It feels really beautifully put together. And, you know, everything from the door pulls, all the buttons around, they're a typical VW product. But I wasn't expecting any less, if I'm totally honest with you. This is a premium product car. you know, it's probably one of the most premium hot hatches, this and a A45 AMG, that sort of thing. So, you know, there's no surprises there. The DSG gearbox is fast, smooth, amazing. Obviously, I've done a Golf R estate video already, as I said, so if you haven't seen that, go and check it out on the channel, and whilst you're there, subscribe and ring the little bell. Now, that is a more in-depth review on the Golf R and on the Golf R estate specifically. This feels brilliant, this car. It feels so unbelievably glued to the road. Sounds good, this one, you know. Actually, I think this sounds better than my Golf R estate. I don't know what mode it's in. What mode are we in here? We're in normal. Let's put it in race. See what that does. Yeah. Manual. Down through the gears. In through here. The Haldex all-wheel drive system feels like a safety blanket, if I'm totally honest with you. It's just so glued to the road. It's so capable, this car. They're unbelievably quick. The brakes immediately feel more servo-assisted and a bit sharper at the top of the pedal. They're just as strong as the other car. Yeah, it's a great car, these Golf Rs. I mean, they're all things to all men, aren't they, really? Let's be honest. Now, the question I have really is, why would you buy, obviously, apart from the fact it's a VW product, obviously, and not a Hyundai, and I know there's the badge snobbery thing, there's a lot to love about both of these cars. I think that this feels a lot more German, it feels a lot more clinical. The Hyundai feels like it's got a little bit more of a sense of humour, if I'm honest. It's the one that you'd want to go to the pub with and have a beer with, I think. This one would come along and talk about philosophical stuff, whereas the other one would be, you know, giving you a wedgie. It's a very, very good car, and from point A to point B, I don't think the Hyundai would really see where this went, but I think, as I said a minute ago, the enjoyment along the way with the Hyundai is the playfulness, and that's the enjoyment. This feels more supple, on UK roads. There's less tyre noise. It feels more solid, I would suggest, even though they weigh more or less exactly the same. Yeah, it's you know, we know I love the Golf R. Now, this obviously comes with a 3-year warranty when you first buy one. So if you're buying one that's 3 years old, it won't have the manufacturer's warranty unless you buy it from a dealer. But the Hyundai came with a 5-year warranty. The Hyundai also has servicing of every 10,000 miles. This has servicing of every 20,000 miles. So, you know, although this is more expensive to buy initially, it might be cheaper to run. My one, I get, you know, on a long run, you can get 37, 38 miles to the gallon. On a bad run, you're looking at low 20s. You know, but that would be the same in both cars. I think both of them offer amazing things. You know, this in the wet would be far superior car to the Hyundai, but I think, you know, moving this around under brakes and things like that is much harder to do because of the Haldex all-wheel drive system. Yeah, it's a very good car, and I think that for a daily driver, I'm very glad that I bought my one. I absolutely adore it, but I have to say, I had my socks blown off by that little Hyundai. I think it's a lovely, good fun, very interesting hot hatchback. What a treat on a lovely November afternoon.